15th verse of the Shiva Sutras. And the 15th sutra, not verse, the 15th sutra was Hridaye Chitta Sangatat Drishya Swapa Darshanam. So, no, this whole process of meditation on the self and reunited, getting reunited with that comprehensive self awareness, that is the major challenge of this whole sadhana. So, how do we sort of get reunited with that? That is the journey that we are trying to embark on. And you remember that in the verse number 14, which is a very powerful sutra, which mentioned about Drishyam Sariram. And there were two ways of looking at it. One is that you try to look at everything, Sariram Drishyam and Drishyam Sariram. Both the ways you can look at it. One is that everything aham idam, idam aham, both the ways. So that everything that you see is permeated, inhabited by that supreme consciousness which you are. That is one way of looking at everything. So that is the principle of immanence, as we had a longer discussion on that. Then comes the next level of new perception. Then you try to transcend your phenomenal identity, phenomenal understanding of who we are. So first we see this whole universe as part of us, Sarvam Vasudeva Miti, and we are no different from that Vasudeva Tattva. Then, nevertheless, you have a body-mind complex with you, and therefore you are also transcending to the next level, at the level of consciousness, from where normally you would like to see yourself as a body-mind complex, as having ego, the 5 seats, Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya, all these you abandon. How do you look at it? You look at all these as a picture. These are like images. Guna Guneshu Vartanta iti Matvana Satyate, that Sakshi Cheta that Bhagavad Gita talks about again and again. You become a witness of all that is happening through this physical form, through this emotional and intellectual framework through which our mind, our body, our emotions are interacting vis-a-vis the external reality or the internal reality. So that was the verse number, the sutra number 14. And then he takes it to the next higher level in the verse number 15 saying, Hridaye Chitta Sanghatha. So when you are fully concentrated, it's not the physical hurt. When you're able to see all that is happening around you, that is essentially an expansion of that sutra number 14. In 15, he's saying, Chitta Sanghattat Drishya Swapa Darsanam. All that you see, the waking state, the dream state, the deep sleep state, you are able to see that super consciousness, that pure consciousness pervading all these 3 states, and yet it's different from all this. It's everything and beyond everything. So, what are the ways in which we meditate? It's called abhinaya. How do we describe it? How do we give some expression to make sense of it for our sadhana? Kaise kare? How to meditate? Will there be some sentences? Like in Upanishads, they say, Tattvamasi, you are that. So that's one statement, one particular Mahavakya of the Upanishads through which you are trying to figure out what is the goal of our meditation, our sadhana. Dasamottvamasi, that story also people keep mentioning. There were these 10 students who went to join a fair and they were coming back. And the head monitor of these little boys, he started counting to check that they are in shape, good shape. And he counted and said that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then he was very sad and he tells the teacher or the boatman was ferrying them from one side to the other side of the river. He said, somebody got drowned. The boatman said, no. The boatman counted them and said, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They accepted it, but they were not very convinced. They go back to the ashram and the acharya says, are you all good? The monitor is in tears. He said, most likely one of us got drowned. And the boatman somehow cheated us, saying that we are all in good shape, but we have lost somebody. The teacher asks how. The monid accounts and says 1 to 9. Where is the 10th one? The teacher smiles and says, Dasamo Tomasi. You are the 10th one. Because you are counting 9, you are not counting yourself. That's how you are thinking you don't exist. Now, there is a statement called Dasama Tomasi. And then by meditating on that particular thing, you have awareness of yourself. Similarly, when the Veda says Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Idam Aham, Aham Shivam, Shivam Aham Asmi, I am Paramashiva. These are the statements through which we do vichara. This is a way of doing abhinaya. How do I express that meditation? This is the way to express it. So some of these things are there, in the light of Kshemaraja, who's write the Siva Sutra Vimarshini, and a couple of statements from here and there. Yadyad drishyam bahyam abhyandaram va tattat sarvam aham idam iti sadasiva van mahasamapatya swangakalpam asya spuratin abhedena. And what he's trying to say here, that look here, Swanga rupeshu bhaveshu pramata kathyate patihi. Swanga rupeshu, when you become master of this universe, what Siva Sutra all the time is speaking in such very cryptic, very difficult philosophical language to drive home the same point as Vedanta tries to drive home, saying, look here, you are actually that Paramashiva Tattva. But because of that self-hiding nature of Paramashiva, and it allows Sakti to play the game, it plays hide and seek with us, with our minds. And we have become Pashu by not being able to remember, to recover, to reunite, to re-establish ourselves in our pure consciousness, in our Swarupa. Our Swarupa is Shiva, though we don't realize it, and therefore we are beggars, we are like animals, we are Pashus. We are trapped in this conundrum of this whole samsara. The moment you are free from it, much of our problems are gone. It's much easier said than done. To realize it and to bring it to our lives, that's how we have to do mananam. We have to think again and again. And these statements are very useful. Yadyad drishyam, bahyam abhyantaram va. There are certain pictures we see ourselves within ourselves. What are these? Because of ahankara and mamakara, we have a lot of imaginations about who we are, what we are capable of, what's our happiness. Bahyam, the house, our car, our relations. Tattat sarvam, all of this is aham idamiti. All these drishya varaga, whatever are appearing before your eyes, are not different from that supreme consciousness out of which these have emerged. And you are not different from that supreme consciousness. And therefore, aham idamiti sadasiva vat. The way Sadasiva realizes, oh, this samsara is mine, I have created, this is my game. It's like there's a little boy getting bored, it's raining outside. He can't go to the, football ground to play with his friends. He tells his mom, I'm getting bored, what do I do? His mom says, why don't you do one thing? You play Ludo, but I'm just one guy. Didi doesn't want to play with me. She has exams. How do I play? So he says, okay. So you become Tom and Jerry and 2 more names. You become these 4 guys. Okay? Now we play on behalf of each and you try to assume this name and form. You become Tom. Then next guy in the east, you become Jerry. Then maybe you become somebody else. Then you become someone else. And you play and you see who wins. And the boy takes an interest and suddenly he's able to play that game. It's like a self-imposed multiple personality disorder. He's assuming 4 names and playing the game. It's all his own game. And that's what Lord Shiva is doing. He's assuming so many names and forms, and this game is going on at a transcendent level. All this is a game. He's just watching it. And at this particular level, at the micro-mini level, when we have this ahankara, mamakara, we are trapped. We are trying to win. We are desperate to not to lose. All these things do happen. So he's saying, Sadasiva vada mahasamapatya. Mahasamapatti. You are in that deep state of truth consciousness. And with this help, Swanga kalpamasya spuratina bhedena. This whole sansara then appears not as different from him, not having an independent existence. Swanga kalpam eva. It's all an imagination and a dream. It's like when we are in a lucid dreaming state, we are dreaming at the same time, we are aware of the fact that we are dreaming. We know what's happening is a dream, it's not real. So the nightmare you see, or there's a football match and you're playing, you're also aware. You're telling yourself, match is continuing too long, it has to end. Maybe it's going to be morning, so I have to wake up, I have to do so many things. There are quite few times you see a few dreams like that in which you are self-aware. Your moral self is right there. Your conscious being is there in the dream, participating as a watchman. And then you are doing some games. And you are telling yourself you are just, this has nothing to do with it. There's a quarrel, there's a fight, and you're being violent. He's saying, no, it's a dream. I'm having fun. Imagine. That is what Lord Shiva, Swanga Kalpamasya Spurati na Bhedena. And this dreamer is dreaming it, enjoying it, also recognizes that this is a dream. And now take that example into our everyday life. If we are able to meditate like this, we'll feel much relaxed, and much of the agony and the pain and the pressure and the anxiety with which we feel kind of overloaded would lose their force, will lose their pressure, their impact, will not feel overloaded, will not be heavy with the impact of these imagined realities around us. Therefore, that's another sentence is Sariram cha deha dhi prana shunya rupam niladiva drishyam nato pasuvata drashtitaya bhati. That we have done Sariram, Drishyam Sariram. There we had discussed this sentence had come. He's saying like any picture, it's not that I am Dukhi, I am Sukhi. You don't have that imagination anymore. You're also able to see that body-mind complex is just a pawn in this whole big game. Like you see this guy jumping around this, oh, I'm jumping so much. By the way, it's a dream. You might fall, you're flying. Yeah, relax, it's a dream. Let me fly a little more. Let me fly much higher than this. And you're saying it's a dream. So even if you fall, you're not going to die. There's no absolutely any fear. You are self-aware in the dream. And therefore, he says there, Deha dhi prana shunya rupam niladeva drishyam natu pashuva drashtitraya bhati. It's not that, because you are kind of an enlightened, self-aware Shiva consciousness. Evam dehe bahyecha sarvatra asya mayurandavada, then vibhakti eva pratipatir bhavati. But avivakta, like for example, if you look at that egg yolk of a peacock, it's so colorful, isn't it? And you look at the egg, you split the egg and you see what is there inside. Some semi-liquid yellow substance. It hides the colorful appearance of a peacock there. That Shiva consciousness then has manifested itself as this colorful, diverse universe with so many names and forms and so many modes of interaction between these so-called separate units, which actually just one reality appearing as many. And therefore, you remember that sentence had also come earlier, Bhokteva Hogya Bhavena Sada Sarvatra Sanksitaha. Bhokta Eva, it's Paramashiva. Drik Chaitanya. Bhogya Eva, as if it's Drishya. That Drik Chaitanya is appearing as Drishya Chaitanya. The Pramada Chaitanya is appearing as Prameya Chaitanya. Everything is consciousness. The Pramata is consciousness. Pramana, process of knowing, that's also consciousness. The object of knowledge, Prameya consciousness. This is all pure consciousness with different labels. It's all, without it, Mayurandavata. That is what we had discussed. And then he's saying, how do you meditate on it? Like, for example, Advaita Vedanti will say, Dasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This whole universe, this whole cosmos, this whole world is like a family. And they have a different, interesting way of describing it. Vasudhaiva Swanga Rupam. Vasudha, the whole sansara, you see, is absolutely part of who you are. Swanga Rupa, Swa Anga Rupa is part of your body. Which body? The physical? No. It's no different from the body of your consciousness that we are. It's just one unified body of pure consciousness. Body doesn't refer here to a physical form. It's only referring to that Sadrupa, the pure existence, the principle of easiness. That's what it's referring to. And therefore, this beautiful sentence that we had read earlier, Tyakta grahya grahaka vivedena yathavastu swanga kalapataya prakasanam bhavati. When it's possible to see everything as ourselves, when we have grahya grahaka, bheda buddhi gets dissolved. I am connecting with this, I am different, that is ahankara mamakara vritti. When I'm aware of that pure consciousness, then this limited self-awareness gives way to a grand universal self-awareness. The limited self-consciousness is kind of, it's kind of woven around the idea of ego. It's separative in nature. By its very nature, it's separative, and therefore it's limiting. It is the mother of all anxiety and sadness. Sri Aurobindo very interestingly says that you have to start there. You cannot abandon the physical frame. You have to work with your ego and ahankara, make it an instrument for ascension to a higher level of self-awareness. You don't have to abandon it. That is the basic necessary frame through which you will become a sadhaka. You have to make a resolution. I have to do a satsang. I want to sit and meditate. So you require some kind of ego consciousness, but that ego consciousness becomes instrumental with a higher purpose attached to it. So it becomes sadhaka, not badhaka. The same ego consciousness, when it's obsessed as to who it is and what it wants to enjoy, the journey is downward, not upward anymore. Or maybe stagnation. You might just stick with a particular ego consciousness and you shall not make any progress. Only when that ego consciousness is kind of used to connect ourselves with the supreme expanding divine consciousness, are we on the right path, and can we ever attain some balance or harmony? That's what Sri Aurobindo says. Therefore, he says, Chitra prakasatam avinivishamanami chittam yada churitam eva vishwam pashyati yad drishyam bahyam abhyantaram va tattas sarvam ahamidamiti sadasiva vana mahasamapatya swanga kalpam asya spuridina bhedena. Nothing appears as split, diverse, conflictual. Idam sarvasya drishyasya sarirataya. I am the body of all this physically visible phenomenal reality. Sunyantasya cha drishyataya. And then sunyanta, all the manifestation of this whole identity that you have, that jagrata avastha, supna avastha, susupti avastha, right? So all these states, sunyantasya, till the anandamaya kosha, the deep sleep state, all the three states, that jivatma, that also is just an imaginary picture. You are part of that universal consciousness, and you see that when you are in that, samadhi avastha. During Dhyana dasa, then you are brought back to the level of your body-mind complex because you are moving around, and it's quite possible that you see yourself as a separate person. And how do you look at yourself? Immediately see that as an image, as a picture, and return to that imagination, that particular meditation, that you are the universal consciousness. Even though you are individually active, you are actually that universal consciousness. These appear to be very contradictory and very, very, very complex, and maybe it might appear very foolish and a very difficult way to do any sadhana. Because you might say that I'm traveling in a car, there's a traffic jam, or there's an emergency, or there's some politics going on in the country, and you're telling me that everything is Lord Shiva. What are you trying to tell me? These appear to be in direct conflict with each other. But these are meditations. Only the one who gets into this madness, he realizes how beneficial it is. It takes a while to understand it is. At a very intellectual level, will not be able to grasp what is the intent behind these statements. Now, when we are moving forward with this process, we will be in our unified self-awareness. Matta eva uditam idam mayeva pratibimbitam. It's a beautiful thing. That is what Paramashiva. Where is this whole sansara in the eyes of Paramashiva? Is it outside of him? No. Where is it? It's just reflected in him. The Lord is seeing his own image in his own consciousness. And that image that he's seeing is the sansara. It's very cryptic, very philosophical, very abstruse, very mystical, actually, in true sense of the term. Mattaha eva uditam idam. It's from me that has arisen, this whole universe. Mayeva pratibimbitam. And okay, it appears. So where is it reflected? Is there a water surface, a mirror outside of me? There is nothing outside of me. Therefore, it's reflected in my own consciousness. Madavinnamidam cheti. And it's not different from me. Even though I'm speaking in a language as if this whole universe and cosmos and this phenomenal reality is different from that absolute unified pure consciousness, it's not. Because it cannot exist without me. In Vedanta, it's, all the pictures are adhisthana rupa. Whether you are seeing a Western movie or you're seeing a action movie of the 70s or a war movie, or you're seeing a drama or a thriller or any horror movies or children movies, whatever. What are you looking at? You're looking at the film screen. That is the fundamental object of your seeing anything. And you realize that's what you are doing for those 120, 130, 150 minutes. When the movie is over, what remains is the film screen. That is the real thing with which your eyes are connected. Then some pictures are imagined to be real, and you are not seeing the reality, you are seeing these projections. And it's fascinating. In fact, with holograms, even that is not required. You don't have to even think about a film screen, because the projection itself appears a three-dimensional picture. There's nothing. It's just a projection. It appears as if it's there. It's not there. There's nothing there. Just a picture. Reflected on what? On the vacuum, which is a constellation, which is not real, looks very real. Therefore, he says, Matta eva uditam idam mayeva pratibimbitam. All this is reflected in me. Mad abhinnam idam cheti, and it's not different from me. Tridhopayaha sa sambhavaha, and 3 ways of meditating on it. Beautiful. What is Matta eva uditam? All this is created out of me. So there's a creation and there is a creator. That's one level of meditation. Mayeva pratibimbitam. This creation is not having any swatantriya or independence. It's verily part of Paramashiva. It's like a little like Vishishtadvaitavada kind of thing. Madhyavinnam idam cheti, and it's absolutely not different from non-dualism. Mattah eva uditam idam. I am the creator of the sansara, Dvaitavada. Mayeva pratibimbitam. This is all apritakto siddhi, that word we studied when we were doing Ramanujacharya. This is all reflected in me. It has no real existence, because sansara, this whole cosmos, is the body of Paramashiva, body of Lord Vishnu in Vishishtadvaita. Madhavinnam idam cheti, and it's not different from me. It's verily me, that complete non-duality, Avedavada. Tridha upaya sambhavaha. There are 3 ways, 3 levels in which you can do this meditation. This particular verse is taken from Tantraloka. And so, to sort of simplify it and put it in perspective before we graduate to the next verse, is saying what? This whole sansara, the phenomenal reality, I'm the foundation out of which it has kind of sprung outside. It has gained appearance as if it's real. And then the sansara is reflected in me. And third is that this is not separate and independent of me, absolutely. This is the same thing that I am. It's looking different to your eyes because you are blinded by ignorance. Because you are not having that Bhairava Samapatti, Udyama Bhairava. That is how we started. That the very journey makes you a Bhairava. There is nothing called being Bhairava. Once you meditate on Bhairava, you become Bhairava. Journey is the destination, to put it in very cryptic yet very simple way. So, Now, with these particular things, then Sad Adhva, you remember, it again come. So, whenever we talk about anything, there is Sabda and Artha. Like, for example, you say pen. There is Sabda, that pen, the word I'm using. And then there is the subject called the pen. There's an object. This is the Sabda and this is Artha. This is Vachaka. This is Vachya. This is Saktam Padam. The word has that energy to describe something. And Sakhya, that is particular object. And what he's trying to say is that the Sabda, whatever, to describe reality, to know anything, Jnanam Bandha, remember the second one, Chaitanya Mahatma, Jnanam Bandha. Also, you can interpret that as saying Ajnana Bandha. So, inappropriate knowledge is the source of our bondage. And why so? Because any knowledge we have is made out of what? Language. Language is made out of what? Words. Words are made out of what? Alphabets. Varnamatrakas. All the mantras are Varnatmika and Varnas are Sakyatmika. All these Varnamatrakas, and therefore the mysticism that we did. What are these Ashtavargas? Kavarga, Chavarga, Tavarga, Tavarga, Pavarga. All these are Vargas, and they have one Adhishtatri Devata. They are one Vargas. And there's a mystery in it. That you want to meditate with any mantras, you need to understand what kind of varnas are used, what kind of energies are there. Each Bija mantra has its own energy in meditation and tantra. And then when we have this domain of expression, then you have varna, pada, and a mantra. Mantra will have a few padas and they will have a few varnas. Om Ganeshaya Namaha. If you say this is a mantra, you have Om Ganeshaya, there's another pada, and then Namaha. And these are varnas there in all these words. Similarly, you have Artha, then Tattva Kala, and a Bhuvana. These 6 elements taken together are called Sadadvas, 6 ways of attaining through sadhana to attain self-awareness, self-consciousness, to attain samadhi, to have siddhis. Now, these 6 adhvas, he's saying, are essentially imaginary because actually it's Shiva consciousness everywhere. Who is doing mantra sadhana to get what? That is explained. That having mentioned that you have to look at Drishyam, Shariram, Shariram, Drishyam, look at this whole universe as you, and then look at your body-mind complex also as an image because you want to transcend it. Having said that, he mentioned Chitta Sangata, so you have to sort of concentrate and resolve your mind, your consciousness, Hridaya. That's the foundation of all realities which are apparent, which are phenomenal. Having mentioned that, now the sacred text returns to the fundamental sadhana. What are other ways? Is there any other way to do it? He's saying, yes, there is. And what is that? Sutra, Suddha Tattva Anusandhana Dava Apasu Saktihi. He's saying, no, there's another way. And what is that? He's saying, Suddha Tattva Anusandhanat Va. That means Chitta Sangathanad, that was Sangatha. That was one way. He's saying Va, or you cannot do this. Okay, I give you another way of doing it. Well, what is that other way of having that Bhairava Patti, returning and establishing yourself as a super Bhairava? How do you become that? He's saying Suddha Tattvānusandhānād Va. Either do that or do this. And what is that Shiva Tattva? Suddha Tattva. Shuddha Tattva is that Sada Shiva Tattva, the Parama Shiva Tattva. How do you look for it? Sandhana Adava. By constantly dwelling on it, by meditating on it. It's not a physical object that you are setting out in search of myself. What are you looking for? You remember? Like Socrates was moving around during the day. In broad daylight, he was carrying a lantern, a lamp. And somebody asked, what are you doing, Socrates? Are you crazy? He said, no, I'm looking for men. Really? What about me? No, you're not. You're a clown. You look like a man. You're not a real man. I'm looking for a real man. And who is that real man? The guy who can reason, who can think, who can contemplate. Somebody whom I can teach, a real young man. That's what he was looking for. The Indians were a step further. Most likely, they would be sitting with their eyes closed without looking for a lamp. Because the Upanishad says that which cannot be seen with the help of either light or eyes, avangamanoshogochara, not even with the mind. So they would not be stupid to look for the self with a lamp, with a laser lamp or anything. No. Whatever you can do, any kind of scans, MRIs, this, that, you can't find the self. Because it's not an object of any physical perception, either through human senses or through mechanical devices. You can't capture it. There are some people who throw around a lot of stories. Now, Suddha Tattva Anusandhanadva, the Anusandhana, that search for the self, is only hinting at, either you can call it a kind of dead dwelling on it, you close your eyes and fall asleep. No. A kind of seeking, vichara. With the help of these texts, that's what they're trying to do. Anusandhanadva apashu shaktihi. What are we? We are pasu shaktis, trapped by these chains, Jean-Jacques Rousseau made that very famous statement. Man is born free, but everywhere in chains. Very Vedantic. Man is born free. Swarupataha, all of us are free, but everywhere in chains. And why? He thought our chains we have these chains because we have accepted civilization as a fundamental reality, which are only a set of prejudices, a set of imperfections. That's what he mentioned there. And what are we trying to deal with here? He's saying Suddha Tattva Anusandhana Dava Apasu Shaktihi. And let's now get into it. There are 3 levels at which we can do this Suddha Tattva Anusandhana. The highest one is directly meditating on the Shiva Tattva in the Advaita Vedantic way. Complete Advaita Drishti. Aham Ashmi Shiva Tattva. Aham Ashmi. Aham Asmi. Aham Asmi Kim. No, that's not there. There is no Kim. It's only you. Is that pure consciousness only exists, and that's the only fundamental reality. The second level is Aham Idam. When you say Aham Asmi, that is Shiva Tattva. That is the Suddha Tattva. When you say Aham Idam, this whole universe is me, then it is Sada Shiva Tattva. And when you say Idam Aham, this whole samsara is me. It's not different from you are the boss there. So it's Ishvara Tattva. So when you say all this is me, it's Ishvara Tattva. When you say me is all this, out of which this is my creation, out of me, that's Sadashiva Tattva. Even higher, Aham Ashmi. There's no conversation whatsoever about the samsara. It's only pure consciousness. Self-luminous, self-fulfilled, looking for nothing. The dualities are perished. And in that highest level of self-composure, self-awareness, the sadhaka says, Aham Asmi. Aham Brahmasmi, no, the Brahma word doesn't matter anymore. Aham Asmi, that's enough. Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Everything goes. Aham goes, Brahma goes. Asmi eva. I'm only there. That's good enough. The predicates and the subject, they will lose significance. Only that easiness will remain in Advaita Vedanta through the method of meditation. And that's what he's trying to say, that ultimately is Aham Ashmi. Now, so there are beautiful ways of doing it. Who will do meditation on whom? Will a dog meditate on itself as a human and become a human? If a dog starts imagining I'm a human being, will it become a human being? If we think and meditate on ourselves as a bird, will we become a bird? And there's a lot of funny arguments going on because of these issue of sexuality in the West, where they say that it is the human subject who decide who they are. And you remember that guy, I'm forgetting his name, he said, okay, this guy who's a TV anchor, the British guy, forgetting his name. He says, okay, so my fantasy is that I'm a black lesbian. What do you say? He's a guy, white guy. He's saying, no, that's what I imagine. If you are not X by thinking you are X, you can't be X. But if you're actually X, but because you're scared, because you are deluded, because you are under some pressure, some fear, and you refuse to accept your X, and then you are allowed to freely express yourself, that is affirmation. That is not self-delusional. That is not false imagination. The Shastra says this. You need not be afraid. And that is how we meditate on that. Aham Brahmasmi, Shivosmi, Shivoham. So he's saying that in the ultimate level, Shivosmi sadhana vishtaha, Shivoham yajakopyaham. Shivoham sadhana vishtaha. I am in meditation, and who am I? I am Lord Shiva myself. I am that Shiva consciousness. And meditating on what? On Shiva. Who is that Shiva? Me. Who is meditating? I. So you are the starting point, you are the end point, and you are the person who is walking. You are the beginning and end of your journey, and you are the journeyman. Are you saying that? Yes. There's another such beautiful sentence there. Somananda Pada, he says it in the Spanda Karika, Spanda Sutras. Shivang Yami, Shivo Yami. Shivang Yami, where are you going? I'm going to the Lord Shiva. My destination is to arrive at the perfect self-awareness called the Shiva consciousness. Shivang Yami, I'm going there. Oh, really? Very good. And who is going? Shiva Yami, I am Shiva going there. Shivam Yami, Aham Shiva. Aham Shivaha, Shivam Yami. I am Shiva and I'm going there. Why are you going there? You're saying you're already Lord Shiva. Are you trying to fool around? Then what you're saying? Shivena Shiva sadhanaha. I'm using that mind, and it's not also different. I'm using my Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha for meditation, for sadhana, for asanas. I'm using my Annamaya Kosha. I'm doing pranama, using my Pranamaya Kosha. Shivena Shiva sadhanaha. In Bhagavad Gita, with these words, Atmana, Atmanam. Meditate on the self with the help of your antakaranas. So therefore he's saying, Shivena Shiva sadhanaha. You're reaching that ultimate destination with the help of that Shiva consciousness was given. So you have Shiva with a name and form, and that's a means to reach that Shiva consciousness without name and form. Shivo Bhaktaha, Shivo Bhojyam, Siveshu Shiva sadhanaha. So you are now in a blissful self-awareness. You are doing that bhoga. You are experiencing that bliss. What is that bliss? The bliss, the object of your meditation is bliss. And that bliss is what? That Shiva consciousness. Shivo Bhokta. So you are verily Shiva who is having Shivo Bhokta. And then what? Shivo Bhojyam. And what are you meditating on? You are meditating on that Shiva, Shivo Bhojyam. Shiveshu Shiva sadhanaha. It's only the Shivas who are already enlightened, who have woken up from the deep sleep. That Shiva sadhana can take place. If a dog starts meditating on himself, fantasizing that he's a king, being in an animal body, he doesn't become one. Fantasy and imagination doesn't take us anywhere. Therefore, he's saying the real sadhaka, the person who is eligible to do it, is actually, why are you confusing us? The student would say, the teacher would say, no, absolutely, I'm not confusing. It's like the mom waking up the child. The child is saying, I got no exams tomorrow, mama. My exams are over. Don't trouble me. And the mother is still patting the baby. He's saying, better wake up. You got your physical examination and you have your interview left. Everything is done. Everything is done. It's next week. Nothing now. Then mother somehow tries to disturb his sleep. And the baby opens the eyes and the mother shows that time chart, the schedule. Beta, you got an interview today. You remember? It's not your class examination I'm talking about. You remember there was this quiz competition where if you qualify, then you're able to go to this place, and there's a excursion, and there'll be some games, some more competitions, and you are a bright student, so they had suggested that you participate in it. Do you remember? The boy slowly comes to his sense. And then he suddenly gets up, dresses up, ready to go for his test. The guy who was saying, I have no examinations today, was the guy who had examinations today. The guy who didn't want to wake up because there was no exams is the guy who is willing to go and take his exams. And he is ready to go and take his exams, and that's going to be possible because he's somebody who has exams today, but he thought he did not have examinations today. We as Shiva are not meditating on ourselves as Shiva, but at the Paramarthika Drishti, we are all Shivas meditating on Shiva to elevate our consciousness, trapped in a level where we think we are non-Shiva. To lift our consciousness from the level of non-Shiva to that awareness where it is self-luminous awareness of the fact that we are all Shiva, we are Vairavas, that is the journey. Praptasya prapti. If you don't have something, you can buy it. If you already have it, you cannot purchase it. You just have to recognize it. You have to understand it, realize it, be aware of it. That is how this path is so interesting, so mystical. And therefore, there's another beautiful sentence here. Shivaha karta, Shivaha karma. Aham vidyalayam gacchami. I am going to the school. Aham, subject. Gacchami, kriya, that action. What is the karma? What is the object of my going? Vidyalayam gacchami. I'm going to the school. And what is he saying here? Shivaha karta, Shivaha karma. Who is the karta? Who is meditating? Laukika vidya, he is a sadhaka. Paramarthika vidya, in the perfect wisdom, he is Shiva himself. It's like a diamond is being cut and polished. It's a diamond. When it's polished, it becomes even more precious. Forget about polishing because there is some action. In Jnana, there is no action. But in Vedanta, there is another example of a piece of sandalwood, which is lying in the house of that carpenter. And his wife didn't have enough firewood, and it was a little chilly, and she wanted to put some wood to fire to warm the house. Heat the house up. And she picks up a wood and washes it because it was a little muddy. And about the time she is about to throw it into the oven, and suddenly she smells, and there's some funny smell coming. He said, it smells like sandalwood. And then she goes and rubs it a little more. And she realizes this is sandalwood. And she says, this sand is different. It smells like sandalwood. And the carpenter is aghast. He said, where did you find it? I've been looking for it for last 20 weeks. I thought I'd lost it. It's a precious piece of wood. They have got it. They had never lost it, except that they didn't know that it was lying in the backyard, among several other pieces of wood. Same way, we do not realize the pure nature of our consciousness, the purity that we are. Shivaha karta, Shivaha karma. The object of our meditation, of our sadhana, our satsang, is to attain that Shiva consciousness, which fortunately we already are. Shivosmi karanatmakaha. And he's saying, I am very Lord Shiva, full of compassion, karunatmakaha. Shankaroti iti sankaram, shubham karoti iti shankara. Auspicious all the time. Ashutosha. Sitoham Paramashiva. I am Paramashiva myself. When a person talks like that, exactly when he is deeply established in that self-awareness, not all the time. You remember in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I read that book written by Professor Sanyal, who was the principal of Ravenshaw College some time. There's a very interesting, he used to, and also I think in the book of, the one published by Ramakrishna Mission, Bhakti Schools of Vedanta, there's a mention about Achintya Veda, a brief sketch of the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is mention that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to kind of oscillate between two states of consciousness. Sometimes when he was still in Nadia, in his ancestral home, on one fine morning will be sitting on a pedestal on a chair and declare himself as Lord Krishna. And he said, ask whatever you want. I'm going to bless you today. And the other times is crying, is desperate for a darshan of Lord Krishna. He's in Radha Bhava. He's a mad devotee looking for Lord Krishna. And then such moments is Lord Krishna himself. Similar things happen in the life of Thakur. He used to feel that he's no different from Ma Kali, and then there would be moments when he's praying to Mother Kali. So you have that bheda, you have a bit of difference in your consciousness when you are a sadhaka and you're looking for sadhya, that paramattva. You want to reach there. And then once you are there, you're not looking for anything. You're just realizing who you are. Sarvam eva shivatmakam. Sitoham Paramashivaha. I am Paramashiva in that state when we are we have attained that self-awareness. Bhavati Siva Mayatma Sarva Bhavena Sharvaha. That Atma becomes Sarvamaya, Shivamaya. Normally our consciousness, our mind is full of thoughts about samsara. When we sit in our meditation, we elevate ourselves, we reach a level where we are no different from Paramashiva. And then everything, it becomes that nirvikalpa. There is no duality over there. Okay? These are the ways that this kridatmaka, that particular thing, we are kind of trying to reconnect with ourselves. And that is possible when we start Shuddha Tattva Anushandhana, dwelling on, contemplating. Now let's look at the commentaries to sort of make sense of this sutra. Now we'll go to that last commentary. Prameya padartheshu sarirangatvepi proktopi upayantaram samprati kathyate. Prameya padartheshu. All the prameya padartha. Prameya is whatever you are looking at as object of your awareness. So what do you have? Drishyam Sariram, Shariram Drishyam. Going back to the sutra number 14. These are all prameya. Prameya padartheshu sariranga tvepi. All this is part of myself. Upayantaram samprati kathyate. He is giving another way of meditating on it. Suddha tattva anushandhana dava apashu shakti. The person, apashu shakti means what? Apashu shakti means a person who has been able to annihilate the pashu shakti who will entrap. Is free from this limited consciousness. Agyana kuhara patitaha. If you are in a ditch of ignorance, sarvepi dehadharinaha pashavaha. Whosoever is in that dungeon of darkness, whosoever is trapped in that well of darkness, sarvepi dehadharinaha. Whosoever is identified with this body, dehadhari is the one who considers the deha. I'm jivatma, but I have a body, I'm trapped here. Pashavaha, they are really animals. Not real animals, they are kind of trapped beings. Etesam pashutvam tadeva apagacchaditi yada paramashiva shivasya nirantaram tadatmena anushandhanam kriyeta. Etesam pasutvam tadeva apagacchati. Then the pasutva of all these pasus, which all of us are, can go away, can be driven away only when Paramashivasya nirantaram tadatmyena anushandhanam kriyeta. Tadatmyena, Shivoham. I'm not different from that. Why so? Where did you get to know? I see so many problems in your life. You said, no, but I have read in the Shastras. Shastras cannot be wrong. So I'm meditating on it. Arthat, Sarva, Shiva Mayam Eva Etad Vishwamiti Paramrishyati. This whole sansara. Shivoham, what does it mean? He's saying this whole sansara is Shiva. I'm not saying I'm Shiva. I'm boss of this universe and the universe is real. Shiva is the boss. So I'm the boss because I'm saying I'm Shiva. That is another form of self-delusion. The Jnanatmaka meditation is this whole universe cannot exist without a foundation, and that substratum of foundation is that pure consciousness, which I am. Fine, that's not a problem. There's nothing illogical about it. Yato hi Paramashiva eva sarvatisayi visuddham lokattara tattvatmakam vastu vidyate. Yato hi, why so? Paramashiva eva, that is the only thing which exists. Sarvatisai, which is beyond, it's transcendent. It's beyond everything. Vishuddham lokattara, beyond the manifest world. It's Vishuddha. It's not Varnatmaka, Gunatmaka. It's Vishuddha. It has no name and form, no limitations whatsoever. In Advaita Vedanta, they keep using that word. Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda Sunyam. Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda Sunyam. No limitation whatsoever. Lokottaras Tattvatmakam. And it's Tattvatmaka. It doesn't have any physical form and name or anything. That is Sivas Sada Siva Tattvatmaka. It's the very nature of the Paramashiva Vastu Vidyate. Tad Anusandhanena, by searching for it, meditating on it, contemplating on it, Sarvasya Vishwa Prapanchasya Sivamayatvam Bhavati. This whole sansara which frightens you ceases to frighten you. Shiva is Kalyanamaya. The sansara is frightening, but it becomes Kalyanamaya. Why? You see, it has no independent existence. You have that Abhaya Drishti, Abhaya Pratyaya. You have no fear whatsoever. Because only when there is duality, somebody is going to harm you. You are everywhere. What's going to harm you? Who's you? Are you a human being that you can be harmed? It's Parama Shiva Tattva, and I'm not independent. Oh, you want to kill this body? Fine. There's a disease, this body is going to die? Fine. But once we keep meditating on that Parama Shiva Tattva, many of these transitory, self-limiting fears, anxieties, thoughts, apprehensions, doubts, depressions, they may repeat themselves, but they would have no real impact on us because they have no real impact. They're not real. Assumed, out of prejudice, out of false understanding. Therefore, he says, Anusandhanam, what is this Anusandhanam? Can you explain it a little more? He's saying, Anusandhanam nama bhavanamasti. It is vichara, meditation. It's not like closing your eyes saying, I'm God, I'm God. Tadrusa bhavanaya praninaha manushasya. By meditating like this, by doing contemplation like this, Pasurupa bandha saktir vilina bhavati. Pasurupa bandha sakti. A bird can fly. The bird cannot swim. Maybe some birds can swim, but all these animals, the animal nature has limitations imposed by Prakriti, Tribunatmika Maya. And that is the Pashutva, what we have. And we have to lift ourselves out of it. How do you lift? Well, if it dries up, you're about to get drowned in an ocean. If the ocean dries up, how do you get drowned? You cannot get drowned. There's no water. You're being chased by a lion in a dream. If the dream isn't there, the tiger cannot do anything to you. Tiger per se is just an imagination. Sansara per se is just an imagination. What is the real thing? No, Sansara is a game. It's not complete imagination like Advaita Vedanta. This is a game played by all-powerful, almighty Lord Shiva, ready to bow down at him in order to lose my own independent existence, which is delusional, self-created by me. Once I become Shiva Maya, there is no more any worries hiding in me to pull me back, to trouble me. Therefore, he says, Manushasya Pasu Rupa Bandha Sakti. That Sakti is Pashurupa, Bandha Sakti, Vilina Bhavati. It gets annihilated. Ashyam Sito, in that state, Yatha Sivo Sada Shivo Jagataha Swami. In that perfect state, when Lord Shiva knows I am creating, he is the boss of this universe. Tadavad Ayamapi Kasa. That sadhak, that yogi, when you are having that ultimate state of meditation, do you know this sadhaka himself is like Parama Shiva? Ayam api jagataha patir bhavati. At that moment, that sadhaka, that tantrika, that student of Kashmiri Saivism is the Lord of the universe. And how so? Because he loses his ahankara, he has no imagination of himself anymore as a limited human being trying to do unlimited things. That is the fanciful ahankara. But if we abandon ahankara, the real power that we are fructifies. Ahankara, the real power we have, never fructifies. What power fructifies? Delusional, limited, one-dimensional, two-dimensional. For a while, they appear and disappear. Therefore, he is now quoting from the Lakshmi Tantra Kolanava. Diksha Siddhau tuye proktaha pratyaha stopa purvakaha. Oh, Ma Parvati, do you know Devi? Diksha Siddhau tuye proktaha. You'll go to a guru, big tantric guru. He has given me Diksha. It's very powerful. And then what? Siddhau. I have Siddhi also. Yeah. He's given me some Siddhis. Tuye proktaha. Do you know in the books, in the Tantras, there's a mention of Dikshas, Saktipata, by powerful gurus. They give you mantra Diksha. You do sadhana, then you have Siddhi. Pratyaha stova purvakaha. Oh my God, do you know there's a lot of limitations in that? Why so? You're saying, I'll tell you why. Sandhanasya yevate tevi kalam narhanti shodisam. If you do a little meditation on the Parama Shiva Tattva, all these big siddhis that these gurus are trading and frightening others that I have a lot of siddhis, they are not even 1/16 of the wealth of spiritual realization you have. When you have that jnanatmaka self-awareness, you are meditating on that Shiva Tattva. The luminous consciousness which comes and overwhelms you, these siddhis and powers that these idiots in the marketplace are selling their siddhis like XYZ, this mantra you will get this one, you do this month siddhi, you will get this one. Not even 1/16 of what you will get by doing para tattva sandhana. Suddha tattva anusandhana dva apasu saktihi. Iti vijnana bhairave api sarvam deham chinmayam hi jagadava paribhavayet. Sarvam deham chinmayam va. Everything is full of consciousness, all names and forms. Do meditate on it. Yugapat nirvikalpena manasa paramudbhavaha. Yugapat nirvikalpena. You know, the Shambhu Upaya, you remember earlier also we had discussed it. It's nothing like that you're going step by step. That is Saktopaya, Arnavopaya, low level of sadhanas. The Siddha, the real sadhaka, who has already purified his consciousness, once he sits in that meditation, he loses in 1 second everything. It's like you put a piece of iron in a magnetic field or electricity passing through a circuit in the middle of it. It behaves like a magnet. It becomes a magnet for those minutes, wherever is there in that magnetic field. Similarly, whenever we meditate on that Shiva Tattva, you are completely turning your consciousness topsy-turvy, which was otherwise a very worldly consciousness, suddenly becomes a super spiritual consciousness, and I'm sure that you must be experiencing it. A lot of thoughts will come to our mind, and then you sit in 5 minutes of sadhana, meditation, and satsanga. It may not stay for too long. When you'd see that you are a different person, you'd think, oh, maybe am I a split person or something? I'm sitting in meditation, I'm so good, and then I'm going to office, I get angry. Why is it all happening? The answer lies here. Suddha tattva anusandhanadava apashu shaktihi. And a few more remarks are there. The Siva Sutra Vimarshini and Varadaraja, we'll look at them in our next class, that is tomorrow. Let's do the Santi mantras. Any questions anybody has? One or two? Yeah, Nileji?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so let's do the Shanti mantras. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Namaha.
Om Tat Sat. Okay, so we'll meet again tomorrow, and until